Good afternoon, evening, morning, could be, for everybody. Today is June 17th. We are 17 days into the Summer Reading Regatta. Today, we are going to do thrillers. It's going to be fun. It's going to be 4 different readings from 4 different authors and 4 very different books. So stay tuned. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have a good time. Christopher, would you pretty please tell everybody about Sailor Shore School?
I would be absolutely delighted to. Previously, we had Caroline Topperman on June 7th doing images as prompts, which was extraordinarily fun-filled. Did a bit of writing, did a bit of sharing, and everyone had an amazing time. You can catch that on replay for $10, which includes a transcript. Then we had Kate McNeil on June 10th doing street and launch teams. 32 pages, was it 32 or 34 pages? It was 30, a lot.
34, yeah.
34 pages of Kate talking to us, which was also very amazing, and it's worth every word of it. We also had D.A. Reed, or Da Reed, with You Had Me at the Hook doing opening lines. Another fantastic one we had a great deal of fun with, especially with the writing on that one. Coming up on June 27th, we have Andrew Smith, Shots Across the Bow, doing Weapons in Fiction. That is going to be our first PG-13 of the entire event. I think it's our only PG-13 of the entire event.
It is, indeed.
There's going to be videos. There's going to be lots of fun and violence. So if you have kids, put your hands over their eyes and listen in. Finally, on June 28th, we're going to have Brent DeSeth and myself doing world building, Land Ho. We're going to tell you how to build worlds, or at least how we built ours by mistake and completely by mistake. Each one is $5 to watch it live, or if you catch the replay, it is $10. And again, it does include download the video and the transcript.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. You're getting so good at this stuff.
Better than the last 4 days.
You're doing great. Thank you very, very much. So tonight, we are going to start things off with Deborah Reed, D.A. Reed, but she's my friend, so I get to call her Deborah. We are really super excited to have her tonight. She writes a myriad of amazing things, and she teaches these incredible writing workshops for children and adults. She just gave us a workshop the other day. Hopefully, I'll be able to have that transcript up for you tomorrow. But it's an honor to have you in our community, Deborah. I'm so pleased that you continue to come back, even though we probably emotionally abuse you on a regular basis. So thank you very, very much for being here. We're so thankful. Tell us about When Darkness Kills Her. What's the backstory? Where'd you get the idea?
I was trying to think back as to what actually gave me the idea first. And I don't remember exactly what gave me the idea. What I remember the most about was having the idea and then the plot getting so complex in my head that I usually bounce ideas off my husband. I'm like, hey, so do you think this would work? And I was trying to explain it to him, and I was getting confused trying to explain the plot to him, and his eyes were glazing over, and he's like, you just need to write it and let me read it because I don't understand anything that you're telling me right now. And so it was a lot of fun to write. And then I kind of left it open, not intending to. I intended for it to be a standalone book, and the end was just didn't really feel super finished, and it ended up becoming a trilogy. So
from a single book to 3, I'm so impressed with that ability. I was just talking to Caroline last night about this. I can't fathom what it's like to write 3 in a row. So hats off.
When you fall in love with your characters, and sometimes they just kind of run and you just have to follow until they stop.
Well, it's good that you are skilled at running. You do this on a regular basis anyway in real life, so good for you. Can you tell us a little bit about the main character?
Sure. Caitlin O'Reilly is, she starts out the book as a police officer, and her father is murdered, and so she takes over his private investigative firm to try to find out why he was murdered. But part of her past, she is a very troubled young woman. She was kidnapped with her best friend at age 13. Her friend did not make it. Caitlin herself was brought back to life. So hence When Darkness Killed Her, there's kind of theme there. Um, and so as she's trying to find out what happened with her father, she's realizing that it's directly connected with her kidnapping because they never found the kidnappers.
Okay.
So she has lived partly in fear, um, basically her entire life, never of darkness, but also of these men who she still doesn't know the identity of and are still out there.
Wow. This is intense stuff. I had such a gentle soul. It still shocks me whenever I hear you talk about these books. It just, I forget that, imagination is a thing that we don't always, have complete control over. So awesome. Would you please take the helm and do a little reading for us?
I will. I'm going to preface this actually because I was MT, I have to tell you, when you read last night, I had thought I was so alone with my secondary characters trying to take over constantly. Like, I have never admitted that to anybody. And so to hear you say that that happens to you on a constant basis was such a relief to me. I'm like, I'm not alone. So actually for this one, I am going to be reading from When Darkness Killed Her, but I want to introduce you to one of the characters who just really became a very strong personality and character for me, and her name is Britt. So Caitlin was saved by Troy, so they have a very, very close friendship. Troy is married to Britt, and they have 2 girls together. So Troy and Britt are Caitlin's best friends, closest friends, some of the only people that she trusts. And Britt is very intelligent, stay-at-home mom. She loves her family. She supports her family. But I always knew that there was a little bit of an edge to her. And so it kind of shows up here.
Okay, awesome. Take it over.
Britt slid cereal bowls across the counter to her girls, grinning as Renee tried balancing a Cheerio on her nose before digging in with her spoon. Rebecca blindly reached for her own bowl, eyes glued to the book in her other hand. I'm going to toss a load of laundry in, loves, Britt said as she began walking toward the back of the house. I'll be back in a sec. Wash my princess shirt, Renee yelled, the words garbled around her mouth full of Cheerios. Always, Britt called over her shoulder. Every day. If she could squeeze her youngest into any other shirt, it was a miracle. And my soccer shorts, Mom, Rebecca said without lifting her nose from her book. Right. Britt had forgotten about soccer practice that afternoon. Walking into the mudroom, she opened the washer and tossed in the detergent packet. Then she searched the laundry baskets piled at her feet for the beloved princess shirt and soccer shorts. Heaven forbid she forget to put those in first. When she was confident the shirt and shorts were being shaken and tumbled amidst the other clothes in the washer, Britt headed back toward the kitchen. As she passed the large picture window in the living room, a gleam of sunlight flashing off an object caused her to pause. The Daniels' front lawn was several acres, the dirt driveway cutting a path through green grass before winding through trees bordering the edge of the property and joining with the road. There was a slight curve at the tree line, and it was there Britt had seen the flash. Squinting, she studied the area. When recognition came, the first feeling to accompany it was confusion. Why would anyone park that far from the house instead of driving up to the garage? It was a long walk when other options were available. On the heels of that thought came another, more ominous in nature. Maybe it was the events of the morning and Charlie's announcement about finding the kidnapper. Maybe it was the flash drives Troy had given her to tuck away in their safe spot. Or maybe it was simply from living with a forensic scientist and hearing stories that would keep even the most unruffled person awake at night. Whatever it was, Britt felt every hair on her arm stand on end, and she began to run. Rebecca, Renee, get out of the kitchen, now! Britt was screaming, something she had never done with her children before, and it rattled them. She heard a bowl crash to the floor, splitting into 3 pieces and splashing milk and Cheerios across the floor as her girls turned on their stools to stare at their mother in confusion and fear. Come with me, now! She grabbed their arms, pulling them with her because they weren't moving fast enough. Dear God, they weren't moving fast enough. Britt could hear them now. She could see the shadows as men moved to surround the house. How had she not noticed them before? How could she have been so blind? Mommy, you're hurting me, Renee sobbed, trying to pull from her mother's grasp. They'll kill them, they won't care that they're children. Britt's thoughts scattered, her daughter's cries threatening to undo her. Taking a deep breath, Britt knew if she didn't pull it together, her girls were as good as dead. Pulling Renee and Rebecca to a halt just short of the stairs, she knelt down in front of them. Renee was crying, but Rebecca looked too shocked for tears. her babies, her life. Britt speared Rebecca with a firm look. I need you to take Renee to the hiding place, okay? Just like we practiced. You have to do it now. Her oldest daughter nodded jerkily. You don't open the door for anyone. No one. Do you understand? Again, Rebecca nodded. Britt put Renee's small hand in Rebecca's slightly larger hand. I love you both. Remember, Mommy loves you. Go. Rebecca and Renee sprinted for the back of the house and the stairs leading into the basement. Not enough time. There's not enough time, Britt thought, racing back toward the kitchen. She had to stall them. She had to give the girls enough time to get there. Britt's mind raced as she thought about her options. Her phone was still upstairs in her room, as was the gun Troy kept in a lockbox at the top of their closet. As Britt heard the first sounds of splintering doors, she ran full out for the kitchen. The large butcher knife barely cleared the wood block from the patio door, shattered into a million pieces by an explosive device Britt didn't even know existed. She turned to see a man dressed in dark clothing, his face hidden by a black mask, enter her home. Terror had no room as fury at the danger to her home, to her children, took hold. The man was mere feet away and didn't stand a chance. Britt crossed the distance in one heartbeat of time and swung, sinking the knife deep into the man's neck. Britt Daniels had never taken a life before, had never expected the need would arise where she would be forced to. And as the knife shuddered in her hand as it entered the intruder's neck, Britt felt a mix of emotions. Relief, terror, self-loathing, and a hatred like she had never known before for the man whose blood now stained her face and clothing, warred within. There was no time to analyze emotions, however, as Britt yanked the knife free and turned to see another man entering her kitchen. Her grip on the knife shifted, her fingers tightening on the handle now slick with blood. How dare he? How dare they violate her home, her sanctuary, her children? Britt glared at the man, her chin tilted at a downward angle, almost as if she was looking down her nose at an insignificant bug. The man's gun was raised, but Britt ignored the weapon, choosing instead to look into his eyes. As if from a distance, she heard more glass breaking, more doors being shattered, her home being invaded. I just have to get through you, she silently communicated to the man before her, and then I'll move on to the next. It was going to hurt. Britt had no illusions about that. Sifting back in her memory to only moments earlier, the young mother called up images of her daughter's faces, scared, tear-stricken, uncertain. Britt's teeth ground together as she raised the blood-smeared knife in front of her. You won't get them, she vowed. She was numb as she ran forward, the butcher knife held ready.
Okay, that was so, oh my goodness. Oh my, I have no words. Christopher, Caroline, you have to help me.
As someone who actually had somebody, I caught a guy breaking into my house once. Nothing nearly as dramatic as that, but that's why I live in condos. that was amazing. That was horrifying and amazing. I have to say I'm in complete awe of you. I mean, you're so many talents and all these books that we've heard you read from. I'll start then. I have a question for you about that. Do you have a favorite genre that you gravitate towards? And sort of like, I just want to pick your brain a little bit and find out, like, how do you choose which one you're going to write from? Like, do they just come to you, or is it, do you have like a system in place for what you're going to write next?
Yes and no.
That's helpful.
I know. So under another pseudonym, which we haven't talked about on here at all, I do write short horror stories. Those just kind of come to me. I mean, that's just something where it's like, oh, yeah, I hear something, I see something, and I'm like, what if? And I just run with it. I try to have enough to have like a compilation that I can put in a book about every Halloween. So that's kind of like a natural type thing. I had started only writing thrillers. I love action and suspense. I mean, if you ask me, hey, you want to watch this rom-com, or you want to watch stuff get blown up and people get shot in the head? I'm like, I want to see people get shot. Which sounds so horrible, but I've always loved that genre. Writing young adult kind of came about when I had met a young lady who just really inspired me, and she was having a lot of self-doubt, and I wanted to write something for her to show her how wonderful she is. The response I got from that, quite honestly, and knowing how many people that book helped, I couldn't turn away from that. And so I kept writing more, all with the hope that the messages in the books would help those who read them. So I will admit, my focus shifted. I still love writing action, suspense, and thrillers. My main focus is the young adult, in trying to make sure that those are available to people with messages for them. I typically usually come out with them every spring. And then because I still do love writing action and suspense, I try to come out with a thriller every fall or summer.
I think it's astounding that you have a schedule. Like, Drake has completely no understanding of calendars or any of that nonsense. He has no clue. He just, floats and flaps and whatever when he feels like it. So I think it's astounding that you can actually say, Sherry Burton, we talked with her at the beginning of the month, and she does that too. Every 6 months, she has a plan. And I'm like, how do you do that?
Some of it for me, honestly, came with having younger kids, because I was still writing when my kids were babies and when they were toddlers, and I couldn't keep my eyes open because I was up all night. And I'm sitting going, if I don't have a deadline, this is never going to get done. And I would give myself deadlines. Okay, I have a lot of events in the spring. My young adult's coming out before all of those events. Still love doing action and suspense. Okay, so when is a good time for that? Well, I got to give myself time to write it. So let's do fall, or, right before Christmas, or, something like that. So
Sure.
It was one of those things where it was just giving myself a deadline so I would actually do it and get it done.
Yeah,
And I'm glad to hear you say that you don't have a deadline, or that, because I'm the same way. People ask me, well, I've got this other one coming out in 3 months. When's yours coming out? When it's done.
Yeah, when the story gets finished. Thank you very much. I no clue. The only time I've ever been able to stick to a deadline has been NaNoWriMo. And even then, the book's not done in a month. The skeleton of it is done, but the whole thing is, there's no way it's ready to go to edit after a month of even 50,000 words. It's never there. So I am seriously impressed with your ability to do that. When we first met, I kind of thought, okay, so Deborah's writing all these books and she has this huge backlist, and so I have to catch up. And then I met you, and I got to know you, and I talked to you, and I went, yeah, I'm never going to catch up. It's not going to happen. So I let it go. So I'm so impressed. Tell me about the challenge in writing this genre and including children. How do you know where the line is to include child characters and when you're going to not do that? Because that's a pretty intense thing. I mean, I was listening to Read and I thought, oh my gosh, yeah, I'd do that if somebody came after my son, no question.
And I think that was the thing for me, where, being a mom myself and having experienced those feelings of, I would literally die for my children, and don't come near them. That for me was easy to write from a mom perspective. It is hard for me if I put a child in danger. It's hard, like I do have to shut off a part of my mind, because I tend to put myself, or like, what would my children feel like if they were in this situation, and then it destroys me. There are certain lines I haven't been able to cross at this point. I have not written anything about a child being sexually abused. I have not written anything that would be graphic about what would be happening to a child, or of their death or something. To me, whereas there are some times when that might be necessary to a certain extent, because I know I had to write about some of that, and I think it is necessary to make sure that the awareness is there. For me, I haven't been able to write those scenes yet, and I don't know if I ever will be able to. just because of my psyche and my personality, I'm not sure if I'd be able to come back from that.
Yeah, me neither. I started writing a story that I thought was going to be about the tragedy of child abuse in America. You know, you wrote about homeless children, you wrote about suicide among young people. I thought, okay, this is a really important, child abuse is this like really important topic. And the book stalled and it finally occurred to me that it's because I can't put children in danger. And so I had to rework it and make a different focus for my characters. And I just abandoned the whole first draft because I said, it's just, I can't make myself do that. So I'm really impressed that you're taking on those topics in your books and that you're able to do it, because I am weak and not able. So I think you're super courageous. Mark, looks like you have a question.
I don't, but listening to your conversation, as someone who has written about child abuse, it's a lot different when you've experienced it.
Yes.
And I wrote the book based on personal experience. I represented a couple of kids who were abused by a priest, and I always promised myself I would tell the story someday.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. That's a little different than
it is
than going to the trouble of inventing it.
And that's a valid point. Like stating something that has already happened is much different than allowing your mind to invent it, because then it's like you literally are taking those children and making this happen to them. Whereas if it's already happened, you're just telling their story. So I that's a very good distinction, Mark.
Yeah.
This is coming from a young lady who has 2 small children and a husband and writes about serial killers. So I get a kick out of the difference between Deborah and D.A. Reed. I still can't get over that.
Out of the gentlest of souls come the scariest of stories.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, scary. All right, let me show everybody Deborah's book again so that when you go to our Harbor Store catalog later, you can find it. There it is, When Darkness Kills Her. This is the beginning of a trilogy. So check it out. Deborah, just real quick, should people read these books in order?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. Because there are several characters in the stories, and their stories are also continued as well as Caitlin's. So it would be beneficial to read them in order.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate your reading tonight. You're doing double duty tonight, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Next, we are going to go on to our next author, our next Captain of Literary Wonderment. And this is her creative vessel, and it's called Black Rock Island. Welcome, J. Lee Burke. Thank you very, very much for being here tonight. I hope you don't mind. I know your real name is Judy, and initials make me crazy. Ask Melinda, she'll tell you. So thank you, Judy, for being here. Thank you for being a brand new part of our community. I hope you feel welcomed as a family member.
Thank you so much. I actually do, Diana, and I think it's a great time. Every time I listen to somebody else, it prompts me to think about twists and turns in my own book. So thanks to all of you for different kinds of aspects of writing. And I want to welcome all of you to my book tonight. I'm actually in Spokane, Washington, and I'm visiting my son and his family, and my daughter's with me with her 3 little ones. So they were abandoned from the house at the time right now. It's 4 o'clock here, and obviously at home it's a little bit later. When I decided to write my first book, it was a thrill. And then I'm working on my 3rd, and this Black Rock Island book takes place in the western part of Ireland, where our family's from, near County Mayo. And I actually got the idea. I was looking at, it was a calendar, and there was a beautiful lighthouse. And I thought, oh, there's a murder in that lighthouse. So I happened to be mentored by Elmore Leonard, which was a nice treat for a little bit. And I learned a lot. And so I decided to go to Ireland and do some research. And when I got there, the lighthouse that I wanted to see was on an island, Black Rock Island. and I couldn't get there because the helicopter pilot was gone for that week, and the Atlantic Ocean was terribly choppy, so I couldn't get there. But I
Okay.
went around the perimeter of Ireland to try to decide, what this lighthouse would look like and envision how I would create this character. Well, Lane Sullivan is an undercover operative for Novus, and she takes on this mission in Ireland after her husband dies in a sailing accident here in Michigan. He goes over to the South Channel in Canada, and they find his boat on the rocks, and he's no longer in sight. So they figure he's drifted down to the Detroit River, and we don't see him again. So her boss calls up and he says, you've been out of it for a year. We want you on this mission. And she goes, no, I don't want to, but she loves horses. And so this is all about her taking this job to discover milkshaking on the horse racing track. And under all of this, there's horse breeding and different races in Kentucky and in France and in Saudi Arabia and Ireland. And she finds out that there are several horses that are being murdered, thoroughbred horses, just to win these races. And so he entices her to take this job because she loves these horses. And the twists and turns that come along in this, it's a psychological thriller, prompt her forward to be able to do things that, she can do on her own in Ireland without a team, even though she's part of a team. And
this
so
is amazing. The detail that you have built into this story is incredible. I'm really looking forward to reading this. When we met this summer, or the spring, just before the festival started, we were talking about the book and how amazing all of your working into detail is. Did you eventually make it to the lighthouse?
No, but the lighthouse that's in the book is St. John's Lighthouse, and the description of it is exactly the same as the one on Black Rock Island. So I took a tour inside the lighthouse, and on the second floor, there's a map room, and then there's another floor above. And so the woman said, there's a huge fireplace. And the woman said, well, monks used to write their scripts here. And can anybody, tell me, something interesting about this room? And none of us had ever been there. And I said, there's a tunnel in the fireplace. And she said, absolutely.
How cool is that? Oh my gosh.
So it was fun to be able to, set the murder in Ireland and have her investigate the very handsome man, Miles Burke, who's a breeder. And he hires her thinking, that she's an interior designer to recreate a party room in his lighthouse. He has no idea that she's after him. And when she gets there,
well, don't give any more of it away.
No, I can't. There's so much I couldn't possibly. But the best part was being able to talk to DEA agents and NSA agents and Border Patrol agents, and going to the drug drop over in the South Channel. So the research is clear and concise to the point in my mind. So when I wrote it, I was there. I could see it. And so
That's
it was
very cool.
a trip. It was a great time. It was wonderful.
That's awesome. Okay, I would love it if you could read a little bit for us, and then we'll take some questions from the Harbor crew when you are done.
Well, I have friends who have high-powered jobs and they don't like big chapters. So my first chapter is one paragraph, basically, or two. Black Rock Island. The blonde woman in the pilot's seat fastened the shoulder harness, preparing for takeoff. Holding in the starter button, she engaged the helicopter's generator, slowly releasing it. After a minute, flipping switches on the instrument panel, she stared at the green lights illuminating the cockpit and completed the start sequence. The white glow from the Bell Jet Ranger's strobe lights pierced the darkness. Placing her hands on the controls, she forced them into position while the straps held her upright. The whirling blades beat the air. Simultaneously, the turbine whined to a high pitch for takeoff. Rotors thumped as the skids bounced on and off the landing circle, dirt flying. The dim red light in the cockpit stood out against the dark forest behind it, silhouetting her figure. Soldiers, equipped with heavy weapons and body armor, held their positions surrounding the helicopter. The leader of the Irish peacekeepers shouted at the woman through the bullhorn, Halt or we'll shoot. He punched his fist upward at a forward angle. The woman's head turned sharply toward him and then swiftly back at the instrument panel. The engine revved to a high pitch as the controls were forced into gear. Scraping the tarmac, the skids lifted off the launch pad. Troops were lined up for the kill shot, kneeling, facing forward, weapons at the ready. Men clad in black studied their 50 caliber sniper rifles into their shoulders, waiting for the command. Fire, their leader screamed. In one swift movement, he brought his fist down toward the ground. A barrage of bullets riddled the target. The helicopter exploded, sending shards of metal in all directions as the bright orange flames scorched the black sky. There you go.
Awesome. That is incredible. You know, I don't know if you made it to Deborah's workshop the other night and You Got Me at the Hook, but you definitely got me at the hook. This is an opening sequence that, first of all, I love lighthouses. I love aircraft and all things mysterious. So I'm buying your book and I'm going to take it with me up north and I'm going to read it while I'm gone. So
I had the same thought you did, Diana. I had the same thought you did with the opening hook thing. Went right back to her workshop the other night.
Yeah. So you don't need to download that one because you already have figured out. So good job. Oh my gosh, so great. Mark, you have a question?
I've read this book. She's wonderful. This book, she has a wonderful talent of making you feel like you're there.
Yeah.
It's just terrific. Every scene, I felt like I was there. I could see the lighthouse. I could see the boat. I could see. It's just a great book. I recommend it to everybody.
A high endorsement. Good job, Judy. So, Harbor Crew, any questions for Judy?
How do you do that? How do you paint the picture so well? It's almost like actually drawing pictures.
Well, I actually oil painted some of my chapters of the first book. And
Well, okay.
So
there you go.
I look at them. My kids have them, and I just have to. Since I was a little kid. I was Nancy Drew, and then James Bond and Agatha Christie's characters, and so I've been telling stories to myself my whole life. So it's built in my head. When I see a beautiful sunset, I see the sunset, but I see a murder. Or if I'm going to a park, like with my grandkids today, I was thinking, wow, there's this guy cutting the lawn and he could abduct some of these kids. So it's always in my head. And how do I do it? I just see it and I just write it and revise it and read it again, let it go for a while and go back to it and then see if I can see what I wrote.
That's incredible. Is there going to be a sequel to this book?
Yeah, I'm writing it right now. Lane Sullivan is in Key Largo, Florida on the motion picture set. And unfortunately, the cartel is dropping in again. And even though the cartel, there's so much about it in the film industry and TV and everything, I still feel that it'll work. It's a thread in the story, but it's not the major part of the story. It's my operative still has to investigate and break up things like human trafficking, besides the drugs and the rest of it. So yes, she's down there and she's getting into a lot of trouble and stirring it up.
This sounds very, very cool. I'm really impressed with your ability to create such stunning visuals with words. I just think you're great at this. I'm so glad we met. Deborah, go ahead.
Is it obvious that I have a question? No.
Hey, that's the only way we do this.
So yeah, I mean, like, I love it, and Stuff Blew Up, which we all know now is one of my favorite things. So I'm definitely buying your book. And well, I was just wondering, because I know you're probably asked this all the time, but when did you actually start writing? I mean, like, I know, like, I know some people say, oh, I've written my whole life, but like, when did you actually say, this is what I want to do, and you just did it?
Well, I was in third grade. I'll tell you this much. This is one prominent memory. Sister Marie Ernest came over and she said to me, the deer stood erect in the forest. We had a cottage and my dad said, used to say, this deer is erect in the third grade. She goes, you copied this from somewhere. I go, sister, I didn't. And I was adamant about my writing. And then, my parents had to be called in because I was very sassy. And I remember that day. But I also remember writing a lot of poetry and just so young, very young. And I just would write on things. And when my parents died, I went in the attic and I found these boxes, and I found boxes of writing from first grade up.
Kudos to your mother for keeping that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Wow. How cool. Christopher, go ahead, sir.
You must have been a fun date. I mean, I hear poor husband, sweetie, what are you thinking of? Well, how your head could be 20 feet that way if it was decapitated.
My husband has heard stuff like that.
Like Edgar Allan Poe.
Are you asking her out?
If what you see in a sunset is a murder, I think Christopher has a good point here.
I'm just wondering how he deals with it. I mean, does he get a good chuckle out of it, or?
I don't have a husband.
Okay.
So he doesn't deal with it.
It's perfect.
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Judy. I'm so glad that you came and joined our community. I hope that you will continue to be active with us and join us again with the next festival that we do. I think you're.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I just got a text from a neighbor who lives across the street at home, and she said, tell them about the kids' book. My 6-year-old granddaughter and the 2 4-year-olds were coming out with a children's book, and it's being put out as co-author. So I have a little kids book. So there's mystery on one side and there's children's books on the other.
That's spectacular. How fun. Well, I know everybody in this room tonight is looking forward to picking up your book and reading it. And I look forward to hearing more from you as the year continues. And like I say, we're going to have more opportunities to do festivals, God willing, and the governor keeps going forward. We'll do this in person next. That's what I'm hoping. So thank you very, very much. I appreciate you coming. I know that you may have to jump out, but if you can stay, we'd love it. So,
thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So let me show everybody Judy's book again, just so you have it in your head and you know what to look for in the catalog. This is J. Lee Burke and her book, Black Rock Island. So please check it out. I don't know about you guys, but I'm hooked. I'm reading this book. It's got horses, it's got aircraft, I'm reading this book. Absolutely.
Look at that cover. Look at that cover. Don't you want to go there?
Yeah, I want to go there and spend about 3 months writing in that space. I think that would be awesome.
It's very cool.
It's got sailing in it.
It's incredible. Next up, we have Madame Kate McNeil. I'm so glad you were able to join us. I know you've had a crazy busy Zoom life with work and the insanity of everything that's happening right now in the world. Working in healthcare, I know this is not easy for you, and I'm so grateful that you're joining us every night as a Harbor Crew member, but now as an author. I get to share you as an author, and I'm so excited about this. This is Kate McNeil and her book, Nightshade. This is book 4 in the series. Hi, Kate. Welcome.
Hi. Nothing would have kept me from here or you. Nothing.
Well, okay, I know better, but okay. My guess is that if you had a rescue organization call you and ask you to come pick up a bonded pair of Jack Russells, you wouldn't have missed it tonight.
I gotta go.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. So, Kate, tell us about your series. I love your main character, Vivian. Please tell us about this series and your main character. Just give us the whole thing.
So the whole shebang got started back, myself and one of my best friends were writing together, and we actually wrote the second book in the series first. Now, if that's not confusing enough, I encourage people to read the third book in the series first, But
That's why I did it. Yeah.
but I mean, honestly, the way that they are in the series, books 1 through 4, they are meant to be read in that order, but it does get confusing when I'm telling people, well, this is how we started, but this is what I encourage you to do if you don't have that much time or you can only read one book, then go ahead and read this one first. But it's essentially, the second book has a little bit more story about a different character, but the primary protagonist of the series is named Vivian, and she is an ex-CIA officer who was burned badly. If any of you have seen Burn Notice, kind of sort of the same thing, but a lot more realistic because I live and breathe research. And so just the idea that I have like one word wrong or something like that, as opposed to just, making it for drama, can't do it. I just can't do it. But there are some great characters, if I say so myself, in the books.
Yeah, I'll be the first one to say
I'm kind of in love with one of my characters, so.
Well, so am I, but fiction being what it is, I have to suffer.
Well, I get to do whatever I want. I'm in the middle right now of writing the 5th book of the series. There are probably going to be 6 in the series. But just again, I try to make it as though if you're a Tom Clancy fan, to try and make it, what if Jack Ryan was a female?
Yeah, that's a really, really good, what's the thing? Elevator pitch. That's what it is. That's a great elevator pitch because it's so darned accurate.
I try because, and just, I will say this, I'm quite proud of this actually. I'm pretty sure, despite my reassurances to the contrary and Diana's denials to the contrary, Diana still is like, yeah, you totally work for the CIA. I'm like, no, I didn't.
Oh, yeah. I believe you were an undercover operative. I believe you spent like 6 years in Bulgaria and nobody knew about it. I think that your husband is just simply turning a blind eye because he doesn't want to know the truth. I think that's what's going on here. Absolutely.
My mother's the one that would rat me out. So if she was here tonight, she would be like, Catherine Andy Wallace McNeil, you did not work for the CIA. Stop it.
Yeah, but you could have. Would you please take the helm and read a little bit for us?
I absolutely would love to. So this is from Nightshade, which again, this one is the 4th book in the series. So this one you do actually need to have read at least book 3 in the series. But if you're genuinely interested and you're like, okay, seriously, Kate, what order do I need to go in? Just reach out and let me know, because this one, as much as I don't like reading from something that you can't just pick up immediately, you can't just buy immediately and understand. And Charlie, squirrel, Charlie.
I had you guys on speaker tonight and he heard your voice, Kate, and he had to. Okay. Go ahead with your reading. Sorry.
I don't even remember what I was saying. Anyway, alrighty. So like I said, this is from a book that you do need to kind of read at least one of the previous ones, but it's the most recent one. The last couple of festivals I've read from another one of them. And so I decided, you know what, we're going to change it up this time and you guys are going to get to hear from a different one. Jason, our security officer, was waiting for us outside of the twins' suite. After a rash of recent demonstrations and protests in Athens, some of which had turned violent, Jillian had added on another armed level of security. We'd met him the night we arrived and ended up talking to him for several hours, first about the week's plans and the twins, then moving into more casual topics. He was an American, born to Greek immigrants, and after getting my first glance at him, I wasn't at all surprised when he told us later that he'd been a Navy SEAL. After discharge, he'd gotten a job with an American company that provided security for wealthy tourists. He had an easy, dimpled smile that distracted from the way he immediately cased any room that he walked into, talked with a strong Boston accent that brought me right back to my time at MIT, and was built like a brick shithouse. Both Parker and I had liked him immediately. Morning, ladies, he called. Ready to go? We're ready. Sounds good. He rapped briskly on the suite's door and Portia opened it a moment later. Good morning. I'm so sorry, but we're running a little bit late. Won't you please just come inside and wait? Thank you for the invitation, but we'll wait out here. Do you need anything? Oh, no, we just overslept. Are you sure you won't come in? It won't be but a few minutes. No, thank you, ma'am, but we'll be waiting right here for you whenever you're ready. She rolled her eyes and smiled before shutting the door. Both she and Talia had learned that Jason was as straight as a string professional, in contrast with the more comfortable relationship that they'd developed with us. Parker nudged my side. Hey, while we're waiting, I'm going to go get a quick phone call into Carter. Is that okay? Yeah, of course. I'll be right over there. She was dialing already as she headed toward a convenient bench down the hall. It was the first time that Jason and I had been alone together, and I seized the opportunity that I had been waiting for. Listen, I have a question for you. I might have an answer. This job, bodyguard for hire, do you like it? Sure do. Why do you ask? Long story short, I'm going to be relocating to London at some point in the future, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for a living. Parker and I have our own private investigation business back home, but I'm not sure if I want to do that by myself in another country. I've really enjoyed this trip, and I'm thinking maybe it's something I could do for a living. He cocked his head, his dark eyes boring into mine. What's your background, aside from private investigation? I took a deep breath. I was a CIA case officer for 8 years. Aha, so that's it. I could tell you had something in your back pocket, but I wouldn't have guessed that you were a spook. Well, then, yeah, you could definitely get a job like this with that background. I mean this in the highest professional sense, but attractive young women are very much in demand as bodyguards because you blend in. Anyone looks at me, they can tell I'm the obvious muscle. So if they're coming in hot, they're coming after me first. That gives you time to either secure the client or back me up when they're not looking. Plus, if you're protecting a woman, they feel more comfortable with another female rather than a guy like me. That's exactly why the twins wanted us. We're technically their traveling companions, but they think that I have a military background and Parker teaches self-defense. We knew what they really meant. Jason nodded. You'd be a great PO, a protection officer. How many languages do you speak? 8. Shit, that plus CIA and private investigation experience, you could name your price. Here, he retrieved his wallet and pulled out a business card. That's got my direct number on it. Give me a call sometime if you want to talk more about it. It's a great job, but it's nothing like the movies make it out to be. That's what I keep trying to convince Parker about the CIA. I tucked his card into my bag. Thank you. I appreciate it. No problem. We both heard the twins' voices from the other side of the door, and I gave Parker a discreet wave. It was the last day of our vacation, and even though we were still on the clock, I was determined to enjoy every moment of it.
Well done. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is such a fun read, such a great story, and compelling characters. It's just so much fun. I really appreciate you reading for us tonight. Does anybody have questions for Kate? Christopher?
Kate, you're new to this, right? We've never met before, so quick
No,
question for you.
I don't know who you are. Stranger
Not
danger.
having ever, interacted with you before, I'm mildly convinced you are writing your own memoir at this point.
Yeah, that's accurate.
You have been talking to Diana, haven't you?
I just met her tonight too.
Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, it comes down to research. I majored in psychology and history. And so, especially with the history background, I love doing research. I thrive on doing research, and I cannot stand to not have something correct. I can't just make something up. Are there, despite, probably CIA research being a little bit harder to do than, other things, there are a lot of books out there that Valerie Reed is one of, Reed, and I just blanked, is one of my favorites. There are books out there. It's just a matter of looking for them and finding them. And if that makes y'all think that I worked for the CIA, well, then you.
Well, your research was spot on. It was nice. Real nice.
She always does that. She does this, okay, well, if you think, and then she doesn't complete the sentence.
See, that's the psychology part of her background.
Yeah,
My-
I know.
It's
Crazy.
a hook. It's a hook.
It is. It's a reverse. It's a reverse hook. You were talking about that the other night. Hooking at the end. That's what she does. She hooks at the end.
Yep, she's good at that.
Any other questions for Kate tonight?
I just love how she makes herself laugh with her dialogue. She's sitting there, like trying not to crack up as she's reading, and I'm just like, all I could think of was like, now I gotta try not to crack up because I don't want to.
Melinda, at some point we will
That
have.
that was one of the things I loved about yours, honestly, is just those little subtle, not over the top touches of humor where it needs to be written into the story, not overly forced. I mean, unless you're doing what's the name of see, I don't read it. Anyway, who's the one that has the books that's like each one is named for a number? Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Patterson.
No,
Oh.
Stephanie Plum.
Oh,
Okay, that's it. Yeah, that to me, I don't enjoy those books at all. That is slapstick, and I just can't. I just do not enjoy it. That is not something I can get into. I think that putting in humor just subtly as a part of the book itself, that's what I love to do. I'm not dogging on, anybody that enjoys that type of humor. But again, Melinda, that was something I just absolutely adored about yours.
And someday, Melinda, we'll have you come to Michigan. We'll have lunch, and you'll see that Kate is so much on the page who she is in real life, which is why I don't believe anything she tells me. Yeah, no. Any other questions for Kate before we move on?
And she's got the world's greatest laugh.
Yeah, that too, yes.
There it is.
All right, here we go. Let me show you Kate's book again. Here it is. Dun, dun, dun. Kate McNeil, Nightshade. This is book 4 in the series. But read book 3, even though she wrote book 2
first. But there is a book 1 that, should you want to go through the entire series, book 1 is actually available for free on Amazon as an electronic ebook. If you want to start with that one, that is free. You can go right on there, download it, and not just on Amazon. I actually have all of my books on all platforms. So if you prefer to read Apple, Kobo, whatever it is you want to read, it's free on all of those platforms.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Diana.
Oh, are you kidding? Of course. Okay. All right, here we go. Tonight we're in for something a little different, and I appreciate authors so much because they get innovative and creative and wonderful, and sometimes they even tell me about what they're planning ahead of time, and then sometimes they don't. So tonight, Mark Bello is featuring his book Supreme Betrayal. This is number 6 in the Zachary Blake legal thriller series. This is an awesome thriller series. Mark does a great job with detail and time and place and setting, and he drops you right into the story from page 1, and it's really cool. It's hard to put down. Mark, thank you so much for joining us again, sir.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now,
thanks for putting up with me.
Well, you're pretty tough to take sometimes, but I allow it because your writing is so good.
Oh, shucks.
So tonight we're going to do something a little interesting. For those of you who were at our action session the other night, you heard MT Falgoust write. She's Melinda to the rest of us, because again, I don't like initials. But she's going to help Mark read this piece tonight. And I got to tell you, Mark, I love you and I want to have conversation with you, but I'm sitting on the edge of my chair with a dog on my lap. And we both really, really, really want to hear how you guys are going to tandem read this story tonight. So we're going to flip it. You guys are going to read first, and then Mark will chat with you after. How does that work?
Okay.
So when you are ready, sir, please. Take the helm.
Well, let me set up where we're at. In the first chapter of of supreme betrayal, a young teenager by the name of Haley Larson is the victim of a sexual assault at a party given by her assaulter, a wealthy, entitled law student. Flash forward 20 years. The teenager is now a married woman. Her name is Haley Schultz. She and her husband, Joel, have just watched Lester Holt announce that the same evil law student from her past, now a narcissistic right-wing appeals court judge named Oliver Wilkinson, is the president's nominee for an open seat on the United States Supreme Court. So the section of the novel that we're going to read is the discussion that the husband and wife have following the broadcast.
Okay.
So that's the story. And Melinda, thank you very much, will read essentially Haley's part, if you will.
Awesome. Okay, this is going to be fun. I don't know if we've ever done a tandem read before, and I'm super impressed, Melinda, that you decided to take on this challenge with less than 24 hours notice. So good job on you.
We'll see how it goes.
I'm sure it'll go great. All right, Mark, the helm is yours. First mate, Melinda, thank you very much, and have fun.
Honey, are you okay? Joel snapped her out of her thoughts. She didn't even realize he was holding her.
Joel, oh my God, how can they even consider this guy? Did they get my letter? Do they know what kind of man he is? What kind of predator he is? How can they do this?
She looked into his eyes, pleading for words of comfort, understanding, and perhaps wisdom. Haley, sweetheart, maybe they just don't know.
The committees must have gotten my letter.
You never heard from either committee, or from the press for that matter. These committees must sort through a lot of bullshit. Maybe the letter got buried in bureaucracy.
And the press? What's their excuse?
Who knows, Haley? They get thousands of tips, leads, and stories, ideas every day. The same type of bureaucracy issues in a different setting. It's not some right-wing conspiracy. Maybe it just got lost, ignored, or deep sick somewhere.
Maybe.
Haley drifted off in thought. Haley? Joel squeezed her hand, bringing her back.
Joel, how many times must I rehash this? I can't keep going back.
Who says you have to? Wilkinson certainly has the legal and judicial credentials to be a Supreme Court justice. Maybe we just leave well enough alone. Mind our own business. Joel didn't really mean what he said. He was brilliantly leading her to the only choice she had. She needed to expose this bastard for the predator he was. His strategy worked almost immediately.
And what happens when a rape victim needs an abortion? What happens when the court looks at issues of government funding for victim programs? What happens to a variety of social issues a guy like Wilkinson couldn't give two shits about? David won't have any chance to beat Goliath for the next 40 years.
I understand that, sweetheart, but those are issues of political and legal ideology. Do you oppose him because he's a criminal or because he's an extreme Republican?
Both. What's wrong with that?
Nothing, but if you're going to do something, whatever that might be, I want you to do it for the right reasons. Would you go after Wilkinson if he was on your side of the issues? And there it was. Leave it to Joel to wrap this up into a neat little one-sentence package.
Would I?
She paused, staring into space again. Joel squeezed her hand.
Damn straight I would.
Haley growled.
He's a criminal. He should be in prison. He never should have been granted a law license, let alone a seat on the circuit or appellate court. United States Supreme Court? Oliver Wilkinson? Joel, that is a bridge too far.
So what do you propose to do? Haley was in agony. She crinkled her nose, tightly closed her eyes, and dropped her head into her hands.
I don't have a clue. What do you propose, my knight in shining armor?
Joel was developing a germ of an idea. Are you ready to go public with this?
Your idea is to go public with this? What about the kids?
How would the kids feel as adults in 20 or 30 years if this guy's still a Supreme Court justice? How would they feel knowing their mother could have done something to prevent it and did nothing?
Boy, you don't pull any punches. What happened to my patient, loving, and supporting knight?
He's right here, Haley. He's watched this guy occupy an important space in your head for years. He's affected your relationships, career choices, moods, even how you sleep and dream. Your loving knight in shining armor says it's time to fight back.
What do you propose?
You remember Zachary Blake?
The lawyer? The one with the large verdicts and the big ego?
That's the one. The ego's well-deserved because he's the best in the city.
Okay, what about him?
Well, Zach sends me patients from time to time. We work together on serious accident cases.
I guess I knew that. What does he have to do with Wilkinson and me?
Well, Zach's a powerful guy in Michigan politics. He's a large donor to the Democratic Party in Michigan and nationally. He's well-connected, very politically active. He can't be happy with the Wilkinson appointment.
So?
I think we should make an appointment to see him. Tell him the whole story. Let him investigate and expose this guy. No one knows how to play the media better than Zachary Blake. He's the master. If there are legal issues, or if you're called to testify before the bar or the Senate, Zach can provide legal advice and representation.
I don't know, Joel. Other than my original complaint and my letters, the only person I've ever talked to about this is you.
What original complaint? You never mentioned that before.
When this first happened, I filed a police report and I told the West Bloomfield police the whole story.
What happened?
Well, Oliver's parents intervened. They were wealthy, powerful people, very politically connected. And that's probably how Oliver became a judge in the first place. Anyway, West Bloomfield PD conducted a brief investigation. I was told it was my word against his. He never actually did anything to me, they argued, so why ruin his future? Higher ups in West Bloomfield put pressure on me to back off. My parents were embarrassed about the whole thing, and eventually the case was discontinued for lack of evidence. Never sat well with me, as well you know.
That's good to know. That means there's an original record that might come in handy. If we decide to go forward, make sure Zach knows about that report and investigation.
Joel, what about our careers? This could be a huge media and political spectacle. Press could descend on our front lawn. And what about the kids and school, the neighbors? What about our privacy?
Haley squinted in anguish and buried her face in her hands. All good points. Again, we don't have to do this, Haley, but I'm tired of seeing this space Oliver Wilkinson continues to occupy in your brain. It's your choice, yours alone. I won't force you to do anything you don't want to do, but I say go for it. Yes, there'll be short-term pain, but the long-term gain, if you're successful, will be well worth it. I can handle it. I'm sure the kids can too. And I know Zach will help make this as painless as possible. He really is the master. The more important question is, can you handle it? Are you up for this, Haley? Again, Haley Schultz paused, reflecting on what might be a life-altering decision.
Let's do it.
She finally decided with determination.
Call Zach. Let's expose this bastard and let the chips fall where they may.
That's my girl. I'm on it, sweetheart. Joel and Haley Schultz stood and embraced. Joel hugged the love of his life as if he would never let go. Haley felt so comfortable in his embrace. When they finally separated, they gazed into each other's eyes, perhaps second-guessing their decision to move forward. Joel took Haley's hand and led her upstairs to the master bedroom. Their lives were about to change forever. For better or for worse.
Well done. Yay! Congratulations, you guys. That's an awesome read. I felt like I was sitting in a theater. It was so cool. Say that,
Melinda, thank
Caroline.
you.
What was that, Caroline?
Yeah, sorry, when you said that you felt like you were sitting in the theater, because every reading, sorry, I'm just going to jump in. It's not even a question.
You can.
But it's funny because, so as someone with a film background, I know, I'm sorry, but it's screenwriting, so that counts as writing, right?
Okay.
But as someone who has a film background, everything like right away, like I just try to see these things in my head, and it's so funny. And like that's like I can't look at the screen. I have to like look down and like picture all these things that are happening. And it's so funny because I swear, like with Deborah, it started where, I mean, I'm sorry, but like either like probably like Emily Blunt playing the mother, right? And like I could see it. And then like Angelina Jolie like jumping out of the helicopter or something like that, you know, like every one by one I could just see it. And then Kate, like you're so right, burn notice 100%. And I also thought of my mom spoke like 8 languages, so I'm like, well, maybe now she was part of the CIA or something. And like, I feel like
never doubt it. Never doubt it.
I don't know. She and you know, when you mentioned all those countries, all I could think is like my parents lived in when they got kicked out of Poland. Basically, they lived in like Baghdad, and then they lived in Paris, and then Sweden before Canada. So like, you know, it kind of fits, right? So CIA has to be somewhere there. And then this was like a play as well. And I guess I do have a question totally far-fetched, but like, have any of you thought of making these into screenplays?
So you want to write the screenplay? Is that what you're saying?
Possibly, because I think it really worked.
Okay.
That's
I'll call you.
Yeah, you guys talk in the background because who knows where this might go. But it's so vivid, Mark. Your writing is just so it's like it's emotionally edgy and it's intellectually edgy simultaneously. So I'm really, really impressed with your ability to do that. Melinda, you're an amazing cold reader. My gosh, how cool! Oh my goodness, I could never read that well cold. I think you're super impressive, and I'm slightly intimidated. So I'm so glad my reading day is over, so I don't have to follow you.
Slightly intimidated. Slightly.
When she read her book, I had to do this. It was like, oh my God.
Yeah, perfect. Harbor Crew, any more questions for Mark?
How do you, I mean, honestly, to quote you, not pulling any punches here, how do you, okay, wait, I'm going to take this back. Are you a plotter or a pantser? And second part to that, do you ever go back and say, this just doesn't, it doesn't really have the emotional punch that I wanted it to, I need to punch more? How did you do that?
Well, that's a lot of questions in one.
I'm allowed.
I'm allowed.
So the first one, actually, we it's almost 8:30. Oh my gosh, where did the time go? So so the first question is plotter or pantser?
It depends on the book.
Okay, that's
fair.
Valid.
I do a lot of seat of the pants writing. That's for sure.
And then the second
on
thing.
On the other hand.
Yeah.
Kate mentioned it after she read her book about all the research she does, and I'm the same way. As you can tell from the topic of this book and the Supreme Court Justice nomination, who happens to be accused of being a sexual predator, I write from events that happen in real life. Now. This particular book, while based on the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, isn't in any way, shape, or form the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, because my guy is introduced in the first chapter as a vicious predator. We don't know that about Brett Kavanaugh.
Right.
But what I like to do is, except for the first book, which is based on an actual case I handled, I like to take events from the news and turn them into fiction. Kate mentioned something, and I said, she's me. Something like she's not that creative. She takes books from her research, or she finds books in her research. And I'm the same way. I consider myself a good writer, but I can't create a character in my head outside of my experience. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
There
Yeah.
are some writers who can draw from the ether and just make stuff up as they go. I'm one of those people, but I have Drake, so
Yeah,
I
that's
guess
Drake.
not
It's
really
Drake.
just me. But then there are other people who draw from real life experience, and I think that what makes our community awesome is that we have both styles of writers together. So I'm seriously impressed with what you do. I'm going to show everybody the screen again because, like I say, we are running obscenely late tonight. So I'm going to show everybody the screen. Where did it go? There we are. So Supreme Betrayal tonight was read for you by Mark Bello and MT Falgo. And thank you very much for you guys doing that tandem read. That's someday when we get back to doing physical real life festivals, I want to make sure that we incorporate this style of read into our program. Mark,
Does everybody notice how much Melinda looks like Haley on the cover there?
Yeah,
Exactly
very
like.
much. Very much. Thank you, everybody, tonight. We're going to give some stuff away. We're going to spin the wheel. We're going to do the really quick speed version of this because we are running so late tonight. I apologize. We were having so much fun that we lost track of time. So thank you very much, everybody, for sticking with us for this extended version of our festival. Tonight, we're giving away 5 prizes. The first one we are giving away is an entire set, no kidding, guys, an entire set of Kate's books. All of them, all 4 of them. See, there they are.
You can start from book 1.
Yeah. So we're going to give those away. Then the next prize is going to be Mark's book, Supreme Betrayal. We're going to give that away. Then we're going to give away When Darkness Killed Her from Deborah Reed. And then we're going to give away this one, Black Rock Island. I always want to call it something else. There's different. Anyway, there it is from J. Lee Burke. We're going to give that book away. And then just because I bought inventory and this is a new repub for me, new edition, we're going to give away a copy of A Duck Quacks as well. So we're going to do that. So we're going to spin the wheel for 5 times. We're going to try and go through it pretty quickly so we can get you guys home. Here we go.
Share the screen, share the screen.
Okay.
Love technology. Love technology.
I tried shouting it out and realized I was on mute.
Okay, so here's the thing. You guys just talk amongst yourselves while I add this person back to the wheel again. See, this is what happens when Diana goes too quickly and tries to like move too fast. Diana forgets to do important things like, you know, sharing the screen. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be with you in just a second.
All
Thing
right,
is, at least you
everybody,
looked like you were enjoying it.
reapply your lipstick. Go ahead. Everybody got time.
I'm gonna throw it out there. Someone asked me in one of my sessions if I did, or in the chat, it popped up, does she do audiobooks? I do. I am an ACX reader. So if anybody is interested, needs somebody, go ahead. Give a shout out. Let me know.
She's on Facebook, so do that. Okay, now I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna share the screen. Diana's so silly tonight.
Yay!
Do you guys see it now?
Yay!
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna spin the wheel now. Okay, see, we're running late. Charlie jumped on my lap. I'm having a good time getting stories read out loud to me. I'm just out of it tonight. But thank you guys for putting up with me. Here we go. Helm, you get a complete set of Kate's books. Yay! Okay, here we go. We're going to spin the wheel again. Look, there's Emma. Hi, Emma. Okay, we're going to spin the wheel again. You get a copy of Mark's book. Congratulations. Spinning again. Yay, Ty, congratulations. You won. Which one are we doing? Oh, yeah. When Darkness Calls Her from Deborah. No, Darkness Killed Her. Not called. See? Diana can't function anymore. Somebody else take over my job. Okay.
Charlie.
Yeah, no kidding. Charlie could do it better than I could tonight. Here we go. Hooray! Holly Ash, you get Black Rock Island from J. Lee Burke. See, Diana just has to slow down and enunciate, and maybe the brain will catch up with the mouth. I don't know. Okay, here we go. Last spin. Yay, Pat, you win a copy of A Duck Quacks with Drake's Compliments. Thank you so very much, everybody, for putting up with that craziness. Okay, let me see if I can do this. Christopher, can you tell everybody how they can redeem their astounding, amazing prizes, please?
I can do that. If you did win tonight, you need to send an email with your mailing address by midnight tonight to Diana@pagespromotions.com in order to claim your prize. If you do not, prizes will be put back into rotation for a future giveaway. And please do send her that email because it is her to-do list.
Thank you very, very much. Yeah, if I don't have things written down, stuff doesn't get done. Okay, here we go. Christopher, can you tell everybody about this since you're so good at it, please?
I'm on a roll. Absolutely. Inside those books, after you email Diana, you are going to check for a little lottery card with a raft on it. On the sale, you're going to scratch off to find out if you are a winner or not a winner. Well, we're all winners, but in this case, if you're an extra winner, you will be eligible for a bonus prize. And what you need to do is send a picture of yourself with the ticket to Diana. You could also put it on Facebook, and you will be eligible for a bonus prize of great magnitude, also by some folks who are not even participating this month, but who have included prizes to give away.
Absolutely. We are super, super grateful to all of our very generous authors. Caroline, take it away.
And if you are one of those extra winners and you want the chance to be an extra winner, then you can take that winning ticket and post a video of yourself performing this poem that I'm going to read in a second as dramatically as you can, and in costume. And the poem is, out of my window looking in the night, I can see the sailboat's flickering lights. Starboard shines green and port is glowing red. I can see the sailboats straight ahead. Sailboats, are there treasures in your hold? Many trunks filled with silver and gold? Sailboats, are there captains at your helm, bringing books for readers of our town? And when you do that and you post it on Facebook, then everybody will vote for their favorite 5 videos, and you'll get those extra prizes.
And one of the super bonus prizes is provided by Mark Bello tonight. He's going to send you an entire set of his books. Oh my gosh, so cool. Jacob Bullen is sending you an entire set of his books and a snazzy t-shirt. We're making some new games this year, focusing on independent authors, and we'll send you a copy of those. We're just having a super huge, amazing bounty of fun. In addition, Andrew, who could not be here with us tonight because he is on shore leave with his family, has provided an ultimate performance prize package. This is the Embracing the Thrill of Fear grand prize. You're going to start with a copy of A Slice of Fear by Andrew Allen Smith. It's a great book. Then you'll take it to the next level as you find your way to Barnes & Noble, where you will spend your $50 gift card on new books and Pirate Foodie. But you're not done. You have to eat. So you will use your $25 American Express gift card for dinner, a cool bookmark, a nifty eye patch, whatever else your little pirate heart desires. What better way to face your fear and move past it with books and your imagination? So this is a prize package valued at about $80, and we are so very, very grateful to Andrew for his generosity in providing this. So thank you, Andrew, wherever you are. We're also doing a fun contest for the authors. Some of you may have noticed we're collecting names as you register. Who invited you to tonight's episode of our Reading Regatta? When you name the authors, and you can name more than one, they get points. They move their ship northbound through our Port Huron to Mackinac course, and everybody who finishes gets a finisher's medal. And then the night, June 30th, of our Venetian night wrap party, we will spin the wheel of all the finishers to select the captain of the fleet. And that person will get a super nifty prize pack. So that's super awesome. Congratulations, Captain D.A. Reed. You are currently moored in Hammond Bay State Harbor. You're in the lead. You only have 3 more harbors to get to Mackinac. So congratulations. Hey, Kate, you want to do this?
I do. So obviously we're all here. We love to read. I don't know why else we'd be here. But the wonderful thing is you can go and purchase any of the authors who are participating in this month's regatta. You can go and purchase any of the books from the Harbor Store. I just popped that into the chat. And to be perfectly honest, Christopher, was it you that was popping them in earlier?
Yep.
Okay, good. Just give credit where credit is due. But honestly, Diana and Paige's Promotions are not taking a single dime from any of this. All of the royalties are going to the authors. Please definitely do consider going over, support indie authors. This is one of the, and then also, well, the second greatest thing you can do is leave a review. So please consider doing that as well. It's a very, very intuitive and easy web page to navigate. Go over there, buy a book. I promise you will not regret it.
Thank you very much, Madam Kate. We're going to do shots across the bow really quick because we're running out of time. Deborah Reed and Emma. Hi, Emma. Deborah Reed, shots across the bow, ma'am.
Just thank you everyone for being here. And I always love, even though I'm reading, I love listening to all of the other books, and you guys are just like fantastic writers, and I love it. And I'm going to be buying so many books.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to need more bookshelves. Judy Burke, do you have shots across the bow for us tonight? Parting wisdom, words of happiness?
Well, the good thing I like to say is the dialogue in everybody's book is just wonderful. And it's encouraging to know that there are other writers who are serious about their work. And kudos to all of you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining our community. Mark Bello, quick shots across the bow, please.
Quick. I read Miss Burke's book, and I read Deborah's book. They're great books. I encourage all of you to purchase those. And thanks, Melinda, for participating in my my little acting. My first attempt at being an actor. Actually, I did community theater, so you know.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. Melinda, thank you again for doing this. You were awesome. Do you have any parting shots across the bow for us?
You're on mute, Melinda.
I was trying to be quiet. Just saying that, as we all know, books are our passport to the world. And even if we're not quite ready to jump out into the almost post-COVID fray, there are so many great places that just the authors here tonight and many, many, many more of the authors who are in the Harbor Bookstore, there are many places that they take you with their fabulous titles. So take a gander, pick some up, and travel the world.
Awesome. Thank you. See, Caroline, passport not required. Okay. Shots across the bow, Caroline.
Yeah, the readings today were so great. I love them all. And even though I know none of you are busy at all, right? None of you have anything else on your plates. I really think you should all think about getting into screenwriting just a little bit. And then as a
That's the next workshop, Caroline. In the next festival, we're going to do
we'll
that.
talk about
Yes.
it.
Yes.
And
yes.
as a shameless plug, I'm reading tomorrow night, and nobody's heard this before, so it'll be brand new tomorrow night.
It's going to be fun, super fun. Kate, shots across the bow, madame.
I'm just going to echo what pretty much everybody has already said, that reading tonight as an author just really humbled me and reminded me that I'm an author first, but how incredibly lucky I am to be a part of this community and how much I absolutely adore and love every single one of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We love you too.
Christopher, I know this is a really big responsibility going last, and unfortunately, got to do it. I do want to say before I let you do that, though, that we want to acknowledge and thank Andrew Smith for his kindness and generosity, and Brent Seth, who is also on shore leave tonight. We want to thank him as well. Christopher, shoot off that cannon.
3 things. 1, Kate was with the CIA. 2, Melinda should read every night. And 3, tune in tomorrow. We have nonfiction.
And
I don't think all of that was factual.
I think it was. I think all of it was sexual. Every single bit. Okay, awesome. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. Watch for the replay posted tomorrow on Facebook. Share it with all your friends. Tell everybody to check it out. Invite them to the next series of leg races, raced legs. I'm done. Going to bed. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.